All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Sarabjit Kaur and with me is Saira Mujtaba. The headlines. Government says 100 new hospitals in the country to have their own oxygen plant under PM CARES Fund. Centre asks states to undertake publicity and awareness activity to sensitize public to mitigate panic buying. States asked to ensure prices of essential supplies are not increased. Essential Services Maintenance Act invoked in Chhattisgarh amidst a surge in COVID cases. Night curfew imposed in urban areas of entire Odisha from tomorrow. First batch of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine to be delivered to India this month. All centrally protected monuments, sites and museums under Archaeological Survey of India closed till 15th May. Election Commission to hold an all-party meeting today in West Bengal to discuss election campaign during the pandemic. Government simplifies process to reissue Overseas Citizen of India cards. France asks its citizens and companies to leave Pakistan amidst security threats. In sports, India wins 1 gold and 2 bronze medals in Asian Wrestling Championship at Almaty in Kazakhstan. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals beats Delhi Capitals by 3 wickets. As the number of COVID cases are on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower the guard, follow all the precautions and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news in detail. Union Health Ministry has said that 100 new hospitals in the country will have their own oxygen plant under Prime Minister's Citizen Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situations PM CARES Fund. The decision was taken at a meeting of Empowered Group 2, which was held yesterday to review the availability of essential medical equipment and oxygen during COVID. The ministry said pressure swing adsorption PSA plants manufacture oxygen and help hospitals become self-sufficient in their requirement for medical oxygen. It said 162 PSA plants sanctioned under PM CARES are being closely reviewed for early completion of 100% of the plants to enhance self-generation of oxygen in hospitals, especially in remote areas. The Empowered Group 2 has directed the Health Ministry to identify 100 hospitals in far-flung locations for consideration of sanction for installation of PSA plants. The Health Ministry in a statement said that medical oxygen is a critical component in the treatment of COVID-affected patients and there has been increasing demand for medical oxygen, especially from the 12 states with high burden of active COVID cases. These states are Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. The ministry added that sources of medical oxygen and their production capacity was mapped to match the requirement of states and an indicative framework has been developed to guide the states. It said accordingly 4,880 metric tons, 5,619 metric tons and 6,593 metric tons have been indicated to these 12 states for meeting their projected demand as on 20th April, 25th April and 30th April. More details from our correspondent.
In view of increasing demand for medical oxygen, the Empowered Group has also decided to float a tender for import of 50,000 metric tons of medical oxygen. The Health Ministry has been directed to finalize the tender. It has also been asked to explore possible sources for import identified by the missions of Ministry of External Affairs. The Empowered Group 2 is monitoring the situation of demand and supply of medical oxygen continuously to ensure that all necessary steps are taken to support the uninterrupted supply of medical oxygen. Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
India has administered over 11 crore 7 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine so far. The Health Ministry said that more than 26 lakh 2,000 beneficiaries have been inoculated with COVID-19 vaccine doses in the last 24 hours, out of which more than 20 lakh beneficiaries were vaccinated for the first dose and over 5 lakh 42,000 beneficiaries received the second dose of the vaccine. The ministry said 67,400 COVID vaccination centres were operational yesterday, marking a rise of an average of 22,400 operational vaccination centres.
Indian Ambassador to Russia, Bala Venkatesh Verma, has said that the first batch of Russia's COVID-19 vaccine, Sputnik V, will be delivered to India in April. Venkatesh said that the volume of vaccine production in India will be gradually increasing and may exceed 50 million doses per month. Russian Deputy Envoy to India, Roman Babushkin, had on Wednesday said that Sputnik vaccine emergency use approval by India will open up a new dimension in the special partnership. Russia's Sputnik V got approval from the Subject Expert Committee for Emergency Use Authorization, making it the third COVID-19 vaccine to get clearance in India. India has become the 60th country to authorize the use of the Russian Sputnik V vaccine against COVID-19. The vaccine is now approved in countries with a total population of 3 billion, or 40% of the world's population. The centre has approved the transfer of Covaxin technology from Bharat Biotech to Hafkind Institute. The Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, informed Maharashtra government that the approval has been given as per the recommendation of the Committee of Scientific Experts for a period of 1 year. The move will help Hafkind Biopharma Corporation to start production of Covaxin as soon as possible. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray has thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for accepting his request and allowing Hafkind Institute to start large-scale production of Covaxin in the state.
In view of the prevailing COVID-19 situation, the centre has decided to close all the centrally protected monuments, sites and museums under Archaeological Survey of India with immediate effect. In a tweet, Culture Minister Prahlad Patel said these monuments will be closed till 15th of May. The centre has asked states and union territories to undertake publicity and awareness activity and sensitize the people at large to address their concerns to mitigate panic buying of essential supplies. States and UTs have also been asked to set up a helpline for consumers to enable them to register for redressal by the public authorities on issues of maintaining essential supplies. In a letter to Principal Secretaries of all states and UTs, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution directed to constitute joint teams of food and civil supplies, legal metrology, food safety, health and police for effective surveillance and enforcement activities to avoid a situation of demand-supply mismatch, hoarding and exorbitant pricing of essential supplies. The states have also been asked to keep operations of grocery stores, pharmacists and grocery warehouses outside the restrictions to ensure smooth supply in the wake of the prevailing COVID-19 situation. They have been told to ensure that prices of all essential supplies are not increased and are available at fair prices unless necessitated by cost enhancement due to raw material costs. Amidst a rapid surge in COVID cases, Chhattisgarh government has invoked the Essential Services Maintenance Act, ESMA. More details from our Raipur correspondent.
Taking stock of the COVID situation, Chhattisgarh government has issued an order invoking the ESMA. According to an order issued by the State Home Department, now the refusal to work in essential services have been prohibited. This order will be applicable on doctors, nurses and other health workers in all government and private health institutions as well as on workers involved in sanitation. Refusal for work in sale, manufacturing and transportation of medical equipment, medicines and drugs, operation of ambulance services, water and power supply services will also be prohibited. Meanwhile, Chhattisgarh government has made it mandatory for all passengers entering the state by air or railways to carry negative RT-PCR report that is not older than 72 hours. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
In Madhya Pradesh, efforts are being made to prevent the spread of coronavirus on a war footing. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has thanked the central government for supplying oxygen to the state. Chief Minister said that supply of about 450 metric tons of oxygen to the state was agreed upon from Bhilai, Raurkela and Deveri. More details from our Bhopal correspondent.
Chief Minister informed that arrangements for transportation of oxygen are being made, in which the cooperation of private sector is also being taken. 94 COVID care centers have started in the districts of the state. Rupees 2 crore has been made available to each district for the arrangements. Along with this, rupees 1 crore has been released separately from the Chief Minister's relief funds to each district. Madhya Pradesh recorded 10,166 fresh COVID cases on Thursday, while 3,970 patients recovered from infection. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
The Gujarat government has ordered 100% use of all oxygen produced in the state for the health sector. This was announced by Chief Minister Vijay Rupani last evening. He said that the State Labour Department and police will ensure that all oxygen produced in the state will be utilized only for the health sector. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
Gujarat has recorded 8,152 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday. Maximum 2,631 new cases reported from Ahmedabad, while Surat recorded 1,551 new cases. 3,023 patients recovered and were discharged from the various hospitals. 81 patients lost their lives yesterday. With this, the death toll due to COVID-19 in the state has reached up to 5,076. Gujarat has now 44,298 active cases at present, out of which 267 patients are on ventilator. Meanwhile, 1,49,507 persons were vaccinated in the state yesterday. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Maharashtra is witnessing an alarming rise in COVID-19 cases. The state yesterday recorded more than 61,500 fresh cases, taking the tally of current active cases to 6,20,060. The state government has taken a series of steps to tackle the crisis. More details from our Mumbai correspondent.
Maharashtra Health Minister Rajesh Tope yesterday advised district health departments to work on increasing bed capacity, ensuring availability of medicines like remdesivir and medical oxygen. He said that positive patients must be subjected to institutional isolation, as many try to break quarantine rules and thus infect numerous others. Meanwhile, Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai will soon appoint 6 coordinating officers who will be tasked to ensure continuous and unhindered supply of medical oxygen to hospitals across Mumbai as per their need. According to an official statement, these officials will act as a link between the oxygen manufacturers, civic body, FDA and hospitals. Amid rising numbers of coronavirus infection in Mumbai, the city's civic body has taken over Trident and Intercontinental hotels to accommodate patients with no or mild symptoms. With scarcity of beds getting acute, the corporation has announced that South Mumbai-based Jaslok Hospital will henceforth operate as a COVID-dedicated facility. Devapriya Bhattacharjee, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Bihar, COVID-positive cases are rapidly rising. 6,133 cases were reported yesterday. This is the highest number in a single day. Active cases has gone up to 29,078. Casualties due to the pandemic in the state have gone up to 1,675. The recovery rate now stands at 89.75%. Party office of BJP and JDU have been closed in view of the pandemic. In Odisha, all urban areas will be under night curfew from tomorrow, while the 10 border districts will face night curfew from 6 in the evening till 5 in the morning. Urban centers of the rest 20 districts will have curfew from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. The increasing number of COVID-19 cases in the state has necessitated the government to extend the night curfew to all the municipal and NAC areas of the state, besides imposing weekend shutdowns in the 10 border districts. More details from our Bhubaneswar correspondent.
In a series of steps to upend the viral growth in the state that has reported about 3,000 positive cases in the last 24 hours only, the state government has put a ban on all sorts of congregations across the state. Besides, people entering Odisha will now have to produce RT-PCR negative reports obtained within 72 hours of entry or a final dose vaccination certificate to avoid 7 days home or institutional isolation. Collectors have been asked to increase the number of rapid response teams to monitor home isolation cases in their respective district and to involve the Panchayati Raj institutions to contain the virus in rural areas. Meanwhile, the state administered a little over 1,54,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines to the eligible beneficiaries amid a significant surge in its active caseload that now stands at 14,621. Girish Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
The Delhi government has imposed weekend curfew in the capital city, which will begin at 10 p.m. tonight and will last till 6 a.m. Monday morning. Briefing the media in the capital yesterday, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal informed that malls, gymnasiums and spas will remain completely closed in the city, whereas cinema halls have been directed to function at 30% of their capacity. A total of 16,699 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 were reported in Delhi in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to over 7,84,000. The Delhi government said that over 7,18,000 people affected with COVID-19 have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, more than 13,000 people recovered and 112 deaths were reported in the city. Presently, the total number of active cases of COVID-19 in the national capital is 54,309.
In Himachal Pradesh, 19 students have been found COVID positive at National Institute of Technology NIT in Hamirpur district. Authorities have asked the students to vacate the hostel in order to contain further infection. 6 students were found positive on Wednesday. 13 more were detected positive yesterday, which created a scare in the entire campus. The NIT director, Professor Lalit Avasthi, said that those students who are from faraway places could stay in the campus, and for others, instructions have been issued for vacating the hostels. Deputy Commissioner Deba Sweta Banik said that instructions have been issued to the Health Department to do mass testing of the students and others living in the campus. The Telangana government has cancelled secondary school certificate SSC examinations and postponed the intermediate class 12th board examinations due to the prevailing COVID-19 situation in the state. State Special Chief Secretary Chitra Ramachandran said that class 10th students will be evaluated on the basis of an objective criteria which will be developed by the state SSC board. The board examinations for intermediate, that is 12th class, have been postponed, and a decision will be taken in the first week of June after reviewing the COVID situation.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Government says 100 new hospitals in the country to have their own oxygen plant under PM CARES Fund. Centre asks states to undertake publicity and awareness activity to sensitize public to mitigate panic buying. States asked to ensure prices of essential supplies are not increased. Essential Services Maintenance Act invoked in Chhattisgarh amidst a surge in COVID cases. Night curfew imposed in urban areas of entire Orissa from tomorrow. First batch of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine to be delivered to India this month. All centrally protected monuments, sites and museums under Archaeological Survey of India closed till 15th May. Election Commission to hold an all-party meeting today in West Bengal to discuss election campaign during the pandemic. Government simplifies process to reissue Overseas Citizen of India cards. France asks its citizens and companies to leave Pakistan amid security threats. In sports, India wins 1 gold and 2 bronze medals in Asian Wrestling Championship at Almaty in Kazakhstan. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals beat Delhi Capitals by 3 wickets. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to the morning news. Chief Electoral Officer of West Bengal, Dr. Ariz Aftab, has called an all-party meeting in Kolkata today to discuss the election campaign-related matters during the ongoing pandemic. The meeting is expected to be attended by leaders from all political parties contesting the West Bengal elections. The meeting is likely to discuss measures to ensure COVID-appropriate behavior while campaigning during the remaining 4 phases of election in the state. More details from our correspondent.
Khela hobe, khela shesh hobe, Sonar Bangla, Ma Mati Manush and Poribartan are some of the popular slogans used by BJP and TMC, who have locked horns in West Bengal Assembly election. As TMC fights to retain its government in West Bengal, the BJP and secular front on the other side have posed a challenge to the Mamata Banerjee government. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee held a road show in Kolkata yesterday. From Gandhi Bhavan to Beaubazaar, senior Samajwadi Party leader and actor Jaya Bachchan took part in the road show along with the Chief Minister. Union Minister Smriti Irani, who is a star campaigner for BJP, held 3 road shows in Malda, English Bazaar and Maltipur of Malda district yesterday. Sudhindra, AIR News, Kolkata.
Preparations are being made to smoothly conduct the 5th phase of polls in the 3 districts of North Bengal tomorrow. 1 seat at Kalimpong, 5 seats at Darjeeling and 7 seats in Jalpaiguri district will go to polls in this phase. Our correspondent has filed this report from Darjeeling district.
The 5 assembly seats in Darjeeling Hill district will go to the polls tomorrow. The 5 seats are Darjeeling, Siliguri, Karshiong, Matigara, Naxalbari and Phansideva. The district administration is taking all steps to ensure smooth and peaceful polling. The distribution process of EVMs and other materials have begun. Along with Central Armed Forces, 480 micro-observers would monitor the poll process. Nearly 900 polling booths would be covered by webcasting facilities. There are 179 booths in Darjeeling district where only female officials would run the election. It may be noted that Darjeeling district has more women voters in comparison to male voters. Manaspatim Sharma, AR News, Darjeeling.
The government has decided to simplify the process to reissue Overseas Citizen of India OCI cards. Currently, the OCI card is required to be reissued each time a new passport is issued up to 20 years of age and once after completing 50 years of age. Now it has been decided to dispense with this requirement. A person who has got registration as OCI card holder prior to attaining the age of 20 years will have to get the OCI card reissued only once when a new passport is issued after completing 20 years of age. If a person has obtained registration as OCI card holder after attaining the age of 20 years, there will be no requirement to reissue the OCI card. The French embassy has asked all its nationals and companies to leave Pakistan amid security threats. In an email to French citizens, the embassy said due to the serious threats to French interests in Pakistan, French nationals and companies are advised to temporarily leave the country. It said the departures will be carried out by existing commercial airlines. Anti-French sentiment has been simmering for months in Pakistan since the government of President Emmanuel Macron expressed support for a magazine's right to republish cartoons depicting Prophet Muhammad, deemed blasphemous by many Muslims. On Wednesday, Pakistan government moved to ban an extremist political party whose leader had called for the expulsion of the French ambassador.
The United States has announced to expel 10 Russian diplomats and impose sanctions against dozens of companies and other people, holding them accountable for interference in last year's presidential election and the hacking of federal agencies. President Joe Biden said that U.S. cannot allow a foreign power to interfere in its democratic process with impunity. Sanctions against 6 Russian companies that support the country's cyber efforts represent the first retaliatory measures against the Kremlin for the hack familiarly known as the SolarWinds breach, with the U.S. explicitly linking the intrusion to the SVR, a Russian intelligence agency. Russia has denied all allegations and said it will respond in kind. The sanctions come at a tense time for relations between the two countries. And now, news from the world of sports.
Chris Morris fired 4 late sixes to see his Rajasthan Royals to a thrilling 3-wicket win over Delhi Capitals at Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium last night. Chasing 148 to win, the Royals looked to be heading for a second straight defeat when stumbling to 17 for 3 inside 4 overs and then 42 for 5 in the 10th over. Royals' hopes appeared to rest on David Miller's shoulders, but when he departed after making 43 ball 62, his team still needed 44 more of 32 deliveries with only 3 wickets in hand. Indian captain Virat Kohli has been named the One-Day International Cricketer of the Decade for the 2010s in the 2021 edition of the Wisden Cricketers' Almanac. Kohli is one of the 5 cricketers who has been named for each decade from 1971 to 2021. Sri Lanka spin legend Muthaiya Muralidharan was named the ODI Cricketer of the 2000s. Indian batting great Sachin Tendulkar and legendary former all-rounder Kapil Dev has been named for the 1990s and 1980s. West Indies batting great Viv Richards was named the ODI Cricketer of the Year for the 1970s. In the other sports news, in the Asian Wrestling Championships in Almaty, Sarita Moore stamped her authority by winning the gold in women's 59 kg title. The 25-year-old Haryana wrestler made a dramatic turnaround after trailing 1-4 after opening 3 minutes to score a thrilling 10-7 win over Mongolia's Shuvdor Batarjab. Indian women also won 2 bronze medals through Seema and Pooja. Seema won a bronze in the women's 50 kg category while Pooja won another bronze in 76 kg category. In the Champions League football clash, Manchester City advanced into the semi-finals after bouncing back from 1 goal down to snatch a 2-1 win over Dortmund. Sports Desk, AIR News.
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital Delhi is likely to have thunderstorm with rain. The maximum temperature will be around 38 degrees Celsius. The minimum was 21 degrees. Mumbai with a clear sky is likely to see a maximum temperature of around 35 degrees Celsius, rising from a lower level of 25 degrees. Chennai is expected to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. The upper limit of temperature will be 35 degrees Celsius, while the lower limit was 23 degrees. Kolkata will have a partly cloudy sky with the possibility of development of thunder lightning. The city temperature will move from a minimum of 26 degrees Celsius to a maximum of around 37 degrees. Srinagar will have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The temperatures will hover between 7 and 12 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have a partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or in the night. The temperatures will rise from a minimum of 20 degrees Celsius to a maximum of around 33 degrees. Leh is expected to have light snow and the upper limit of the temperature will be around 10 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky with light rain and temperature will move from a minimum of 10 to a maximum of around 23 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad is also likely to have thunderstorm with rain. The temperatures will increase from a minimum of 12 degrees Celsius to a maximum of around 25 degrees.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. To break the chain of infection, a weekend curfew in place. Capital tightens curbs as cases spiral out of control, writes Hindustan Times. Speeding up the process of emergency use authorization. Foreign vax, government to decide within 3 days of application, states the Economic Times. Dismissing speculation over the final 4 phases of the assembly elections. No plan to club rest 4 phases in Bengal, says Election Commission, writes the Pioneer. Addressing the top IAF commanders, quoting the Defence Minister, the Times of India writes, plan to counter future threats, Rajnath says to IAF. Commenting on the universal bank in the country, 8 entities line up for RBI's on-tap banking licenses is a front-page headline in the Business Standard. Taking note of the comment of Chief Justice of India, the Asian Age quoting S.A. Bobde writes, time has come for Woman Chief Justice of India. And finally, with the big screen making inroads in many homes, 210 million Indian homes now have a TV. Women owners surge by 7%, writes the Times of India.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Government says 100 new hospitals in the country to have their own oxygen plant under PM CARES Fund. Centre asks states to undertake publicity and awareness activity to sensitize public to mitigate panic buying. States asked to ensure prices of all essential supplies are not increased. Essential Services Maintenance Act invoked in Chhattisgarh amidst a surge in COVID cases. Night curfew imposed in urban areas of entire Odisha from tomorrow. First batch of Russia's Sputnik V vaccine to be delivered to India this month. All centrally protected monuments, sites and museums under Archaeological Survey of India closed till 15th May. Election Commission to hold an all-party meeting today in West Bengal to discuss election campaign during the pandemic. Government simplifies process to reissue Overseas Citizen of India cards. France asks its citizens and companies to leave Pakistan amidst security threats. In sports, India wins 1 gold and 2 bronze medals in Asian Wrestling Championship at Almaty in Kazakhstan. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals beats Delhi Capitals by 3 wickets. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.